Welcome to Grab by the Ghoulies, a game that probably only 5 people have ever even heard of. Even if you haven't heard of this game though and just clicked on this video out of curiosity, please, stay. You might enjoy it. Watching this video really requires no prior knowledge of the game itself, as I will be explaining basically everything I'm doing, how it works, and why I'm doing it in this video as the game progresses. The challenge I will be attempting today is to beat this game as a pacifist, meaning I will be trying to do the minimum damage required to all enemies throughout the entire game. This will not only be quite difficult, it will take a very long time. So all I ask of you, fair viewer, is to stay and witness me go on this journey. Without further ado, let's get into it. Traditionally in games, the first level is usually the easiest. However, this challenge makes the first level in this game the exact opposite of that. You see, the main way I go through this game without having to kill enemies when the main goal of the game is to, in fact, kill enemies to progress, I make the enemies kill each other. However, the little imp creatures you see chasing Cooper, our main character on screen, cannot kill each other. However, they do actually have the ability to accidentally hit each other, as you see 2 of them do right here. Now, this is a good thing. The bad part, however, is once they reach 1 health, they no longer take damage from each other's attacks, and simply are stunned when they receive a hit from one another. Because there are no other outside sources in this room that I can use to kill these imps, in a theoretical perfect run, they would all damage each other down to 1 health, and I'd be able to deliver the finishing blows to each one of them, meaning that we would have done 5 damage in the first room, which, honestly, for a game all about killing enemies, is not that much if you really think about it. However, there are 2 problems with this. The first one is my health bar. Even though I have quite a bit of health, at 50 when I start the level, each time one of the imps winds up hitting me, it lowers me by 1 health. And during attempting to make them all attack each other, getting hit happens quite a lot, and it doesn't even always result in the imps hitting each other as well. And the second problem is, even after I defeat these first 5 imps, there's an even larger wave that comes after this. So, after over 20 minutes of running around in circles hoping that imps would attack each other, I decided that I was going to save the first level for later, and move on to more exciting ones. Because, let me tell you, there's a lot of levels with interesting strategies and ways to make it possible to do very little damage, and this is not one of them. The second level in this challenge is completely free because there are no enemies to beat here. It's literally just get jump scared and press the correct buttons. After you get jump scared by this final head on the wall, you can pick up your book and you're home free. The next 2 rooms are also trivial. The first one, I can just walk to the exit because the door is immediately open. Though there are skeletons, they are not fast enough to actually attack me or do anything. And in the second room, there's just a box with a key that I need, and I of course already knew the location of it. However, upon returning to the billiard room comes the next part where I actually have to employ some strategies to make sure I don't have to kill anything. After Baron von Ghoul, the main villain of this story and the one who kidnapped our girlfriend, forcing us to come in after to save her, messes with our health a little bit, we try and leave this room. But it doesn't go too well since skeletons pop out of all the paintings and we must defeat them. Here's the thing though. During the course of this challenge, skeletons will be the most helpful enemy for us to have around. Why? Well, because they get mad at other ghoulies very easily. And when skeletons get mad at other ghoulies, they start killing them for it. Which is a perfect way to solve your problems if you ask me. The way to get this to work is to first let a skeleton stun you. Once one has stunned you, let the same one, or another one, in this case as you just saw, prepare to do an uppercut. Once they unleash the uppercut, make sure it hits one of the other skeletons opposed to you. If that happens, that skeleton will now be mad at the other one for uppercutting him, as he should be. After that, it was only a matter of time before two of them started fighting, so just had to let one of them kill the other, and then had to make the final two begin fighting each other. Now, in this attempt right here, I wound up leaving the last skeleton in this room that I have to defeat with 6 health, which I took at the time, but later I decided wasn't quite satisfactory to me, so I went back and redid it to get his health even lower. Just to say this real quick and get out of the way, I will not be including the full clips of me doing each of these rooms in the videos, because that would take just way too long, and it's not that entertaining to watch ghoulies beat each other up for 5 minutes straight most of the time. So as you can see here, I wind up defeating the skeleton when he has 3 health, which of course is not perfect. And I had a couple attempts before that he would have had 2 health when I defeated him, but I messed it up on the second wave and wound up dying, and I really didn't feel like going back and doing it, since I was kind of tired of playing this game from practicing something you'll see later in this video that I think is much more impressive than beating this room with the skeleton having 2 or 1 health. Only 2 small noteworthy things are here in the lower corridors. First off, we get introduced to these soup cans, which will help us in the future. They can heal us, give us special abilities like turning invisible, stuff like that. And then also we get introduced to a new enemy, spiders, but there was absolutely nothing that was required to kill. Coming into the cinema, there's no need to kill anything. All the enemies are completely avoidable. A couple story things happen though. We see one of the many captured people that are scattered around Baron von Ghoul's manor. They'll be important later in the game. Also, just before we can manage to save Amber, she falls down into the archives, which is great. In our second visit to the gaming room, we actually have more of a challenge this time, and it's actually pretty fun level to do pacifist. It's not too hard, and this one actually can be done completely pacifist. First we get locked in here and then introduced to the haunted chairs, which if you kill this first haunted chair, these other chairs around the tables start to wake up, and they are haunted chairs themselves. So I could pick those up and break them, but I felt that wasn't very pacifist since I know that they are technically alive. So I let the haunted chair that's already awake go around and kill his buddies himself in one hit. As you can see, the haunted chair makes quick work of his friends and drops their souls in the form of soup cans all along the ground for me to pick up. And after I'm done with that, all I have to do is open up that X box over there, which contains 3 skeletons, which can fight the chair for me. Skeletons, being as easily provoked as they are, get mad as soon as the chair slides into them and start targeting it. And once they target the chair and are able to corner it, it's basically dead. However, these next two levels are probably some of the most disappointing in the entire run so far, as I don't know of any way to avoid dealing a massive amount of damage to enemies, and I don't think there's a way at all, so I think that this is just a ton of unavoidable damage here. The first enemy to receive this massive amount of damage is this mummy that walks in the door. Now, mummies have two unique aspects about them. First off, they will not attack you unless you attack them first. Second, they cannot be damaged by anything but fire, so just punching them does absolutely nothing. Fortunately though, Crivens does give us a candle so that we can actually take it out, but for this challenge that's somewhat of an unfortunate thing. Also, mummies are a pretty beefy enemy to begin with, so that's 40 HP that we have to add to the damage counter in one room. But trust me, it gets much worse. In the very next room, we are forced to fight a huge horde of mummies, killing them all before we are allowed to leave. As unfortunate as it is, there is no other way for these guys to die, which means that we must kill 5 more mummies just in this room alone, bringing our total damage dealt up by another 200. Fortunately for us, there is no need to deal damage in the next room. Unfortunately for Cooper, Amber isn't going to have the greatest of times. Right after being untied by Crivens and reunited with Cooper, Baron Von Ghoul's right-hand man, Dr. Crackpot, decides to interfere a little bit. The biggest jump scare of all, Amber has been turned into an ugly, green, goblin, ogre thing. But now, this means we must go get the ingredients to give to Ma Soup's Will to make a potion to change Amber back. Fortunately, on our way out, the skeletons that entered the door have no interest in us and instead would rather beat up on Amber. Not even they can stand to look at her. The thing is, though, nothing could have prepared me for what was about to happen as I left Amber to go find help from Ma Soup's Will. I would have rather sat and tried to complete the first level of this game for several hours than endure the agonizing torture that was the cellar. If I were to show every single attempt I made at this level, every single second I played it, this video would be over 2.5 hours long. It quite possibly would have been over 2 hours 45 minutes long. I honestly don't know exactly how long I played this, as I deleted some of the footage because it was too painful for it to still exist on my PC. All because of this one haunted door. Buckle up, folks, because we're about to go on a wild ride about why this one level is purgatory. The first thing I quickly realized is that I need to kill a haunted door, and I don't have any other enemies at my disposal other than these spiders, which are extremely bad at even hitting me. How am I going to get them to kill a door? Spoiler alert, it was neither easy nor fun. First off, I tried to figure out how exactly I should go about this, since the spider's one attack was to curl up into a ball and throw themselves at me, which did not help. Also, they cannot be angered by the door, because if they are hit by the door, they are instantly killed. As you can see, it is quite possible for the spiders to hit the door, but they do a single damage every time, meaning I would have to hit the door 59 times to get it down to 1 health. And, oh yeah, that's the real kicker. I couldn't even complete this level fully pacifist, because that door cannot die at the hands of spiders. Why it is designed this way is beyond me. I cannot think of a single reason why these spiders should not be able to finish it off. How exactly does it make it that much harder for anyone playing this game, even regularly? It does not make sense. Getting back to the topic at hand, I eventually found out that if I gathered up all the spiders in the room and circled around the door in this part of the map, that they could hit him sometimes. And this would stun him briefly, but not for long, and shortly after he would just start swinging his stupid doorknob out at me again. Cooper probably ran several marathons the amount of times I circled around this stupid door in this same stupid part of the map, as well as the other parts of the map that I tried, hoping that maybe I would have better luck. And this is the one strategy I found that actually worked somewhat well. And I found it within the first 15 minutes of starting this. To be fair, I experimented somewhat, testing other areas, seeing if any other strategy possibly worked of trying to get these spiders to hit him, other than having to circle around him, but every time I wound up back in this same location because nothing else worked. The first 30 minutes of me trying this was in one day. I recorded 30 minutes in one day before deciding it was time to stop. The rest of the time I spent on it was done today, as of recording this audio. The worst part is, there's basically nothing to note or show or say about any of this other than the actual attempt I made where I did it correctly and actually won. That is how sad this is. It is the same thing over and over again, basically, for a very long time. The one other thing of interest that I can think of, other than just showing the end, is that I did find out how to summon skeletons, but they would only appear if some of the spiders were already killed, meaning that I would have to get the door to kill the spiders before then I could actually summon the skeletons. But turns out, after a while of testing and basically wasting my time, the skeletons did nothing. They could occasionally hit the door, but it was usually with their small punches, which do 1 damage as well. The one time I got a skeleton to do their uppercut on the door, they got killed shortly after. I could never replicate it after that. The max skeletons I could have at a time was 3, I found out. But there was never a time I could get a single one of them to be angered at the door, except for that one single time that I got it to happen. But without further ado, let's go on to the final product. My magnum opus, my biggest achievement in this game. And ultimately, probably one of the most pointless things I have ever spent so much time on. This is an instance which I'm going to show the full clip because I'm not going to have spent so long on this one thing to not show my work. I won't leave you to just watch me do some very menial task though. I will explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it and how my strategy has been built up over the hours that I did this one level. So I started by grabbing all but one of the spiders because I figured out if I grab too many, it will not work out as well. They will just trip over each other more. And I'd found basically the sweet spot for how many I should have. Also, if you notice, on my way over to where the door was, I had broken one of the large wine barrels, because if one of the spiders dies, then new ones will spawn out of that barrel if I've broken it. Up to 3 new ones will spawn, and that's how the skeletons worked. It was just skeletons would spawn out of a different barrel that I did not break if one of the spiders died. It was something weird. I don't know why the level is like that. I don't think there's really any other levels that have something like that, but it is what it is. It worked out because spawning new spiders turned out to be quite helpful for when others died. When I started to receive hits like that, even after just the first one, I got very discouraged because that usually meant that I wasn't even going to get close. There were a few times other than this that I got very close, and after dying and being so close, it was very discouraging and I thought about quitting, but in the end I wound up pushing through, and I'm honestly glad I did, as frustrating as it was. I'm honestly surprised with myself at how well I got down the circling the door strategy so that the spiders would continuously hit him so that he would not wake up very often. Of course, he would get unstunned occasionally, but I had learned to basically avoid his doorknob. And I also found that it seemed he only would like to shoot out the doorknob when I was on the side of him that was not by the wine shelves. So on this side that Cooper's on currently. I'm not sure why, but when I was over towards the wine shelves, I seemed safer, which is why I pushed him more towards them, so that I would be very close when I circled around that way, but have more room when I came on the other side. This is the part where I started to get really nervous because a scenario like this had happened to me before, where I died when the door had about 13 health, I think it was. That was so sad when that happened. It was infuriating and just so frustrating that I had gotten so close. So at this point I was extremely nervous, being at 11 health, just a couple lucky hits from the door away. If I made any small mistakes, I had to coax the door back a little bit because he got a little too close to the wine shelves for my comfort, but that ultimately led to me getting hit there, which just upped my nervousness levels. I really did not expect to get it right about here at this point. I thought that there was no way I got it. Now, I wasn't originally sure if the spiders could deliver the finishing blow, but seeing that they couldn't, I quickly did so, fearing that I would get hit if I didn't. Fortunately, I didn't kick any spiders along with killing the door. That would be awful. Like, I would still just be happy that I got it done. But I'm just glad that no spiders were kicked during that, and I just did that one bit of damage, and the spiders did the rest. Anyway, though, that is the final product of that. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to click the like button. It took me a very long time to make, and it was a very tedious process, but I honestly think that the final product was actually pretty cool, and I enjoyed it for the most part. If you have any thoughts or opinions, be sure to leave them in the comments section below, and if enough people enjoy this, I will continue the series. Hope y'all are doing well, and have a great rest of your day.